Valentine's Day has always been a super special holiday. I mean, ever since Cupid died on the cross for our sins, I feel like it's hard to ignore. One of my favorite things about the 2000s is the compilation DVDs, like Teen Nick Pics or Nick Pics. So I kind of wanted to do a video in that style with the best crush/Valentine's Day episodes. Because as you know, for 2000s teen TV shows, that was kind of most of their plots anyway, so I wanted to choose the most festive ones that would fit into this. Along with that, at the very end of the video, I have a little surprise section awarding which couple is gonna take home the Valentine's Day gold. So without further ado, let's get into Drake and Josh, Sonny with a Chance, Zoey 101, That's So Raven, Hannah Montana, iCarly, Unfabulous, and Life with Derek this holiday. Now let's get started. What's up everybody, it's Johnny 2000, focusing on 2000s movies, TV, media, so much more. Now let's get started with Drake and Josh. So episode 4 we have Mindy's back. Josh is excited about the upcoming science fair and feels confident about his project.
You hear that, San Diego? Josh Nichols' time has come. So look outside.
Until his lifelong academic rival, Mindy, unexpectedly returns from a mental institution and beats him once again.
How embarrassing.
Yeah, not really.
With Megan's advice, Josh tries to ignore her, but things get complicated when Mindy picks him to be her partner for a new project.
But then, Mr. Calvin, but that would mean that we would have to, but I don't think we should,
Initially frustrated, Josh eventually realizes he and Mindy work really well together, and their dynamic shifts from rivalry.
Maybe I just like you too?
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe I've liked you for a really long time, but didn't realize it because I hated you so much.
To romance, which is super interesting. Having been the last episode with Honor Council, these guys were really at each other's necks, but this relationship is starting to give me Jimmy Neutron and Cindy vibes, with their knowledge bringing them together, which is not a super important reason to be dating, but you know what I mean.
Later, horrible girl. Oh, you with the comments and the pretty pants.
I cannot believe Drake would talk that way to his brother's girlfriend.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Nervous about how Drake will react, Josh keeps the relationship a secret, which makes it so much more interesting. And I like that we're getting deeper into relationships in this series. And it leads to tension with Megan and even more anxiety for Josh.
Mindy and I are boyfriend and girlfriend.
After a heart-to-heart with Mindy, she ends up breaking things off, leaving Josh heartbroken.
If you can't tell your own brother we're dating, then I don't think I can date you.
Mindy.
I'll see you later.
Surprisingly, when Drake finds out, he's actually supportive and encourages Josh to go after what he wants. And in a wild attempt to fix things, Drake lifts Josh up to Mindy's second-story window.
Hey, Mindy.
Hi. What are you doing at my window?
Where the two talk and share a kiss before tumbling into the grass. And it's a really good episode with Drake and Josh forming a really deep bond that we haven't really seen since the earlier episodes. The episode ends with the three lying on the lawn and the end credits of Craig and Eric's experiment backfiring, which is super funny.
Fix it. Oh. Nice going, Eric.
This is the first episode in season 3 that Walter and Audrey are actually absent. Ted Lang was also known as Isaac Washington, the bartender in The Love Boat, who guest stars as Mr. Culvert in this episode. He also guest starred in the guitar episode. This is the only episode where the premiere theater is mentioned but not shown, with Drake saying, "I'm gonna go to the premiere to meet the guys." This episode is also on the Drake and Josh Go Hollywood DVD alongside with Helen's Surgery, which was probably filmed around the same time. Josh quotes the 1989 Kevin Costner movie Field of Dreams by saying, "Welcome to my magnetic field of dreams," which is interesting. At the beginning of the episode, Drake and Josh talk about their first meeting. A vintage Illinois license plate dated June of 1986 is shown, same month that Drake Bell was born in. Josh's line, "I get to be the boyfriend," is referenced by Mindy again in Really Big Shrimp, the finale. And it's nice to have Mindy finally back. She's definitely too interesting of a character to ignore, and Honor Council was just such a strong episode. Like, that's one of my favorite in the entire series. So seeing her back and continuing that hijinks always like made me have more fun with the show.
F-O-R-T, F-O-R-T.
Say it 2 more times.
Fort.
Now, what do you eat soup with?
Fork.
Really? Because I eat soup with a spoon.
When Drake mentions Josh getting his foot stuck in the toilet, he also mentions how Josh got his foot stuck in the toilet in the episode Smart Girl, which is a fun reference. Drake asks Mindy if she came back to get him suspended again, referencing the Honor Council episode. And Drake's head explodes in Josh's nightmare, which, in case of many fans, Drake and Josh would consider this one of the weirdest scenes in the entire show, which is totally true. According to the credit scenes, there are stunt doubles for Drake, Josh, and Mindy in this last scene, which is kind of interesting.
Guest star, and you'll never guess who it is coming to guest star. Yeah, it's Chad Dylan Cooper. At first they think it's this guy named Jackson Tyler, which is like a parody of Edward Cullen or Robert Pattinson because they mentioned the Twilight series a lot. Extra points for their relevancy to the social media. And this episode is actually really funny. Like, to think that everybody has to readjust their lives to add Chad Dylan Cooper to this is crazy. In the B plot, Nico and Grady are kind of getting a taste of the entertainment industry. Like, they sit in Marshall's chair and start ordering around his employees, and just, I guess for some reason, everybody listens to him. Sonny is kind of a bully to Chad. Like, I get it. You don't want him to be here for this week's show, but she's just like over the top making fun of him. Chad warns her that she's going to fall in love with him by the end of the week.
I should give you a heads up about something.
Yeah, sure, what's up?
By the end of the week, you're gonna fall in love with me.
Which is kind of crazy. It's almost like a threat the way he's saying it, and you're kind of like, what does he mean by that? And that's Sonny's confusion this whole episode. Even Tawny is like kind of mocking her for this and like being like, maybe she will. So yeah, Sonny's in the sketch with Chad this time, and it's actually really funny because he does not fit into the comedy world super well, and you'll never guess what the midpoint plot twist is. It's that Sonny actually believes she is falling for him. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. He was like literally right about everything. He keeps telling her it's when she looks into his eyes, which makes her want to avoid looking into his eyes most of the time. It actually prompts her to wear a sombrero during the rehearsal of their sketch so she doesn't fall for him. And the sketch is kind of random. It's like he's an EMT and she just like falls for him, which I don't know what's funny about this.
You and I, no kiss. Not now, not ever.
You two are gonna kiss.
What?
Sonny tries to convince Tawny to do the sketch instead of her, which is actually really funny because it's like just the fact she believes she couldn't possibly not fall for him by looking into his eyes is ridiculous. Tawny reveals that she's actually kissed him in the past, which is kind of a shocking backstory. Turns out he had a different name, like Goldfarb or something. I love that. Chad has like a secret previous life, and apparently she's able to resist him, but it's still a funny backstory.
I already fell for him once. It's like chicken pox. I got it as a kid, so I can't get it again.
Now they have to kiss, which is insane. The fact that Marshall like rewrote the script to make it even more graphic is weird to me. Nico and Grady still have a fun time being the executives. They even have trampolines in their offices, suits that match their outfit. I don't know. It's kind of a weird situation. They find themselves realizing how hard Marshall actually has it when he's like, oh, Tawny demands her Coco Moco Coco, which is this brand that she constantly gets. Everything culminates as the actual EMT sketch is getting ready to be performed. Nico and Grady have this pig that they carry around, and they can't even deal with Tawny's demands. Like, they actually beg Marshall to come back. And Sonny, it looks like things are gonna go pretty bad for her because she has to go through with this sketch.
I'll kiss you for real when pigs fly.
Until this pig that Nico carries around ends up being thrown into it and kisses Chad instead of Sonny, which is such a funny plot twist. Like, they managed to make it still be a comedy bit, which actually works for So Random. Like, they have a lot of So Random things happen, so of course this is gonna happen. For me, I can't really tell who's winning here. Like, I think Sonny just came to terms with the fact that she might have feelings for Chad and is in denial about it, but they ended up doing a good sketch. So I guess there's a lot of wins and losses in this episode. It does sometimes feel like Sonny is the only concrete character with two sides to her, where like she actually has a good side and a bad side, as opposed to most of the characters who only really have bad sides, like Zora, Tawny, Nico, Grady. They're all just like one or two bits that consistently go throughout the episode, and it's all circled around Sonny, who actually has the moral dilemmas going on. I mean, Chad Chad later develops more of like a moral compass as he becomes like more of a main character, but we're not really there yet. Like, this is early in the show, and we're only really following Sonny's issues. All around, this one was a good one. I like that Chad Dillon Cooper became the focal point for this, because obviously he's one of the best parts of this whole show. So seeing him be more involved is always funnier. Seeing Sonny actually have feelings for Chad is cool, because like they don't just throw it out randomly one day. Like, they really build it up. And that's what they're doing in this episode. So guess who's coming to guest star is a good episode.
Episode 9 is Dinner for Too Many, and this is actually a really fun episode. It kind of did what the quarantine episode did, where it's like all about this one location and one thing happening in it, but this time it's like a dinner date, and it's about Zoey wanting a little bit of alone time with James. So at least James is somewhat in the plot. It starts off with Zoey and James getting ready to have a picnic together. Stacy wants to join, but she says, no, like, I want this to be just me and James. Turns out James invited Michael and Lola. So it's very clear that they just want to spend alone time together, and that's kind of the goal of this episode. Meanwhile, Logan is also trying to get alone time with Quinn. Same way. But his is a little bit more important because these guys have not found a way to communicate outside in public. It's always just private. So this is like Logan's way of saying, like, we could have our own private date. Nobody can afford to go to this restaurant. Good move, Logan. Good move. Of course, Quinn is taken by this. She thinks it's really sweet, and I do too, but I guess I'm not the one going on the date. We cut to the next scene, and I think it's like the makeup dinner that James got ready for Zoey, and he's bringing her to that fancy restaurant that's super expensive, Vaccaro. We get a guest star from this guy. He's on a lot of really funny shows like Young and Hungry, and he's a good actor. I like that he's like a central guest star in this episode. Zoey's like, you don't have to take me on a date, and he's like, I want to use all my money on you. That's not how he talks, but you know how he talks. That's how he talks. It's super shocking because Quinn and Logan were expecting to have their first dinner alone, and then now Zoey and James are having their first dinner alone, and it seems like nobody is happy, and they're all in the same spot. They even have to sit right next to them. Oh, and it's so funny because of course they've been trying to hide it for so long. In order to get away with it, Logan tells Quinn to create some kind of diversion so he could justify being in the restaurant, which I like that it's kind of like all this sleuth missions, like it's fun. Quinn goes to the bathroom, uses her technology, and even has a quick encounter about lollipops with the host again. Quinn ends up using a laser to knock the waiter out and create a giant crash on the ground. So Logan has to crawl and make it look like he just entered. She kicks him in the face and it's so funny. He like tries to justify being there and it's really suspicious, but I guess nobody cares enough. Meanwhile, Michael is tired of hanging out with Lola on his own because apparently she's a mess and asks them to hang out, but Logan has to keep this a secret from both of them. When Michael hears that they're at a restaurant, he assumes that he's asking them to go with him. So they show up too at Vaccaro. Lola and Michael can't even be let in at first because apparently Michael doesn't have a jacket, so they had to fix it. And then next thing you know, double dates on the fritz. Zoe's a little annoyed because she doesn't really want to be sharing this date. They never seem to be able to be alone. It does kind of remind me of the episode where Sam and Freddie were trying to go on a date, but they had to bring Carly to like keep everything normal. Like, I just like the idea of two people trying to spend alone time together and others constantly interrupting or wanting to be a part of it. It's definitely a funny plot, and it makes me feel bad for Zoey because of course she just wants to spend one-on-one time. Like, it's definitely a fair want. Next thing you know, we got 8 people at this dinner table, and it is wacky. Nobody has social awareness, and it seems like Michael and Lola are the worst of it all. They push the tables closer together. It's just everybody's on a different vibe, and it's clearly not working. Usually in the quarantine episode, it was like the team against everybody else, but now it's them all in one location and having conflict with each other. It's a lot more interesting than I thought. I just wish one of them would speak up and be like, we just want to hang out alone, but nobody is willing to do that. Probably why it invites so much comedy. Michael tries to slide Zoe's chair closer to the group table and ends up knocking her onto the floor. So she is beyond angry now. Then they get distracted again by Carl, Coco's ex, on a date with another woman. Oh my gosh, this Coco storyline is so unnecessary. They find a way to weave her in so many times, and I just don't get it. Like, why is she necessary to revisit this much? Things just get wackier and wackier as the night goes on, which is why it's funny, because they find out that Coco is the one one he's on a date with. She's just wearing a wig. Why, you ask? Well, let's go into the girls' bathroom to find out. So they're all talking in the bathroom. They find out that Coco doesn't want to be seen here because she got fired from this very restaurant a couple episodes earlier, which is random to keep the continuity well on that. But the host overhears all of them and kicks them out. Oh my gosh. So he's angry and the entire restaurant gets involved with everybody screaming at each other. So this huge embarrassing breakout is just a mess and everybody gets kicked out of the restaurant. Lola and Michael go to apologize to Zoey, realizing that they should have gave them some alone time. And I'm not sure the moral in this episode, like, well, I don't get the character journeys. And I wish Quinn and Logan got outed in this very moment. Like, it was such a big, intense scene with the restaurant. I feel like it would have been nice to see them reveal it, but I guess that's not happening yet. All the friends make up for it by putting this nice table on the volleyball court, kind of like a beach date, which is kind of cute. So James and Zoey can enjoy themselves one-on-one for the first time until the volleyball team comes in and they're like, can we just play around you? Yeah, that's kind of how it ends. Definitely funny. I like that we get to see Logan and Quinn try so hard to keep their stuff a secret. I feel like that's the most interesting thing going on in Zoey 101 anymore. Like, this whole Zoey and James situation feels a little bland and empty. Like, without Chase, I feel like we don't have the actual heart of the show like we used to. Everything that made me nostalgic about the show was about Chase. Like, everything that I'm seeing now is a little bit random, aside from the Quinn and Logan stuff. But hey, we're getting toward the end of the series. They're just trying to make do. Let them go, guys.
It's moral learned, but then unlearned. Okay, so then we have Season 1, Episode 10, Ye Olde Dating Game. And I actually find this one super funny because they have an entire medieval dance set up. I mean, it's Chelsea's idea, and obviously Eddie thinks it's, like, ridiculous. And he's, like, the talent that's going to perform there, and he has to figure out something medieval that's also cool. I don't know. That's the funny part. But the real plot line is that Raven has a vision that this guy is like, you're the only one for me, pretty much. And Raven's like, oh, this is exciting. I can't wait for somebody to ask me to the prom. Who's it going to be? And then Eddie's like, oh, Stinky Ben is going to do it. And they're like, oh, that's awkward. And it's so hard because this guy is so sweet and understanding, so the fact that everybody treats him horribly is kind of sad. I mean, I definitely think somebody needs to tell him he needs to put on deodorant, but, you know, you can't look at him like he's less of a person. Raven ends up spotting the guy from her vision, and his name's Gabriel. So Raven has a crush on this guy named Gabriel, and he's this big photographer guy. And then he is the one who does inevitably ask her to the dance. But like many of her visions, she is not able to get the full scope of the vision. She just only can get what she sees, which is a really cool concept because she can make the conclusions herself, which is so funny. Of course, a teenager would do something like that, you know? So Raven ends up accepting Stinky Ben's invitation to the dance because she's under the impression that Gabriel is actually going with somebody else, so maybe her vision was wrong. But then when she realizes Eddie was wrong, he isn't going with anybody, so she says yes to two guys. What is this episode like? Probably every other prom episode. Literally, Miley had this exact situation happen in Hannah Montana, where she wanted somebody to ask her out, she ended up saying yes to somebody else, but then not wanting to go. It's just all this drama. Being a teenager is so weird when you're, like, working on approving and disapproving of people in your social circle. It's a weird power you have, but you don't realize you have it until you're, like, much older, which is why this episode's so funny. Or interesting. I guess I don't think it's funny, you know? Like that? Well, it's funny. Oh, gosh. So then Raven basically is like, Corey, make me look bad so Stinky Ben does not want to actually go to the dance with me. And of course, he just wants to go with her more, which is even more ridiculous, him doubling down. It's so unappealing, all the outfits they have to wear in this episode. Like, of course you wouldn't want your dance to be medieval themed. Like, it's just, there's something about it that's so off-putting. I mean, seeing Eddie behind the DJ, actually leaning into it kind of makes it kind of cool, but for the most part, this is not a good idea. So Raven ends up trying to look gross for Ben, but girlfriend material for Gabriel, so she's got quite the predicament in this episode. She even gets stuck in one of those medieval gurneys. Is that a gurney? Yeah, I guess it is. She gets stuck in a gurney during prom, which is insane. She ends up walking in on Gabriel talking to his girlfriend, turns out he has a girlfriend, and apparently he loves her so much, and she watches him confess, and I feel really bad for her. Like, this would break my heart if I had a crush on somebody, and they were just like, nope, don't worry, like, I'm just
there because it's pitying them. And then Raven kind of gets her karma because she knows how it feels, given the situation she has with Ben. And the moral lesson is treat people the way you want to be treated. Great episode. I feel like the best part of this episode is, like, the moment where she realizes that, like, she's not gonna be with this guy. For some reason, it just hit me really hard, and I just related to it a lot. Remember that trope in teen shows where the main character falls in love with one of their close friends? It's all too common. Not only are Nickelodeon and Disney Channel different with their live-action sitcoms, they're even different the way they approach relationships, especially in their teen shows. And I want to break down the most infamous couples on the most popular shows on both channels. Yes, it's exactly who you're thinking. iCarly with Sam and Freddie, and Hannah Montana with Lily and Oliver. It wasn't until I started making these retrospectives that I realized how closely Hannah Montana and iCarly coincided, but I was missing something that was right in front of me: the relationships. Both of these shows had their main friend group's characters fall in love. They managed to make it so different, but the same at the same time. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny 2000, covering all 2000s media, from movie, TV, video games, and so much more. On Hannah Montana, Lily is Miley's best friend. She's a girly girl, but also a skater girl. Oliver is a feminine goofball that just happens to fit in with the group. Meanwhile, on iCarly, we have Sam, who is this aggressive jokester, and Freddie, the guy who's just trying to fit in the friend group. So I wanted to take the two most pivotal episodes where we kind of see the couples at their peaks and kind of compare and contrast their relationships. We got Hannah Montana's What I Don't Like About You and iCarly's iDate Sam and Freddie. Let's break down the two episodes and kind of talk about it. Let's start with iCarly. So, iCarly starts with Sam and Freddie in an argument. This newly together couple are trying to figure out how to get along. One is super aggressive and one is super passive. So obviously that's the first argument. Sam apparently is standing up to his mom for him, and he's basically like, you don't have to do that.
Sam, Freddie should be able to complain about people to you without worrying that you're going to put them in a hospital.
I guess.
And Freddie, even though it's a little extreme to violate a man with bees, you should at least appreciate that Sam did it because she cares about you.
The two had a lot of tension as friends, and it seems like they didn't change their characters at all to fit the relationship, which I kind of like. I like that they are true to themselves as characters, but that also shows that they really haven't grown at all, and that's something that concerns me. Like, at least Oliver and Lily had their relationship impact them a little bit more. There's a B-plot where Spencer is apparently cutting grass that he put in the house, which is nuts at this point. And Gibby is trying to establish a B-plot with Carly by getting a puppy.
Why'd you call me his mommy?
Well, you know, Sam and Freddie are always hanging out together now.
Yeah?
And that means you and I are gonna have more time. Just the two of us.
Yeah?
So I figure sharing a dog will give us something to talk about.
No.
Meanwhile, Freddie and Sam keep coming at Carly with a new problem.
Pay the man.
No! What cup is worth $36? That's Jamaican plastic! Forget it.
I can't believe you're being so cheap.
They even go as far as to wake her up in the middle of the night to settle a dispute between the two. Which is kind of like me and YouTube. YouTube, I'm always settling disputes. The next day, they're ready to film iCarly, and Freddie and Sam are actually in a good mood. It's positive at first, then live on the web show, they have a disagreement.
I thought we were doing the boob up bit first.
No, we decided to do the adult diaper bit first.
You never think I'm right.
You never respect my opinion.
Which is super funny. It's like the internet culture of like seeing a little bit too much, which is kind of fun. I like that it interrupts the web show. It shows that it's such a problem that it actually bleeds into her real life, which the Hannah Montana episode doesn't really do. So Freddie and Sam actually attempt to go on a date themselves, but they bring Carly and have her sit at the back of the restaurant.
Freddie, it's not nice to judge other people's cheese habits. Sam, that's an insane amount of cheese. It embarrasses me.
She has a bad time, like people start coming up to her, and eventually they argue once again. It's really clear that this is not gonna work. Like, they argue so much, it's like not healthy. Like, these people shouldn't need an outside party in order to date. Like, that's ridiculous.
Seriously, Why don't you two just pick up your forks and use them to jab each other in the eyes?
And this is a lot more extreme than the Hannah Montana one, I would say. The lengths they go to insult each other, and it only takes Carly yelling at them and standing up to them for them to finally realize that maybe it's a little too much.
I deserve this lasagna.
The episode ends there, and the relationship kind of goes on past this episode, but I do feel like this is primarily the episode in which was copied to the Hannah Montana one. Now let's switch to Hannah Montana for a second. So we start the episode with Hannah Montana coming back from her newest movie, Indiana Jones, and it's this really obvious parody of Indiana Jones, but it's funny watching her outtakes. Miley's returning home from this long vacation, hoping that nothing's changed, only to leave the room and see that Lily and Oliver kiss. Oh my gosh, what? We jump into hearing them talk about why they need to keep it a secret from her and that she wouldn't really understand right away, and Oliver has a couple funny lines here.
Sometimes I could say things like, ooh, doesn't Lily look cute today? And, another time you could be like, wow, I've never really noticed it, but Oliver looks like a Greek god, or...
Miley confronts them at the beach, saying that she knows what happened because obviously it was in their living room.
You guys should date. And then not tell me about it.
I think she knows.
And they pretty much admit to it right away. See, this is where it's a little bit different than iCarly. Like, iCarly happened over the course of a couple episodes, but Miley found out they're together, already are approaching them about it, and this actually leads into the disagreement.
So seriously, you think Radiohead is better than Coldplay?
Radio play, cold head. The main thing is, you guys are together, right?
It doesn't seem like they as a couple argue or disagree too much. It's almost like this is one really specific scenario. And in this scenario, basically they argue over Radiohead versus Coldplay, like which song did they dance to, which leads to them arguing about their first date and even more.
If you like Coldplay so much, they should be your girlfriend. You could take them skating and then not remember it!
I'll take them skating and not remember it. You know what? Who's 12 now?
And they even break up pretty much right then and there on the beach, which this is what should have happened with Freddie and Sam. Like, theirs is so dysfunctional, it's almost like distasteful. Like, you feel guilty for watching them be together and happy about it. Where at least Lily and Oliver, you're like, okay, I could see why they should be together.
Because you're obviously wrong.
I'll tell you what's wrong. When I picked you as a boyfriend.
You guys, please stop fighting. This is ridiculous.
Miley is insistent that if they're going to argue, they better come back to her by the time they're done. So she sits on the beach until midnight. Robbie actually even gives her a blanket because that's how long she's been there. Throughout the episode, she constantly asks Robbie for advice through metaphor of his sandwich.
And the tomato decided that they should be together. Oh, I love you, bacon pop. Yes, I love you too, tomato pop.
And then the lettuce decided to finally come back home, and they start arguing. Oh, bacon. Oh, tomato. Oh, no. And then I'm the lettuce, I get in the middle.
And keeps destroying it every chance she gets. And this is the part that's the most like iCarly. So Lily and Oliver are sitting on separate tables at the beach, insisting Miley chooses them as her best friend. She goes to Lily first and says that she chose her, but should probably apologize to Oliver because he deserves at least that. Then she goes to Oliver and says that she chose him and was just apologizing to her about it because she deserves that.
Wow. You really did pick me, over your best girlfriend? Man. I must be awesome.
So she basically told both of them that she's choosing them over one another. Meanwhile, the subplot is Jackson trying to get into college. He wants to go to Santa Barbara, so he has this interview that's about to happen at the house. So to look really good, he tries to make it look like he started a nonprofit for children, which is very specific. I would kind of believe that. Cheryl Hines is a guest star in this episode, and she comes to interview Jackson. Robbie has a guilt talk with him to make sure that he doesn't actually go through with it, and it works. Jackson admits to the woman that he's been lying about all his good deeds, and she's basically like, yeah, you're not getting into college. Like, you expect them to be like, okay, yeah, you're honest, you could definitely do it, but that didn't happen in this one. Later, she asks Oliver to come over, and we're still not really sure what her plan is, until they both show up into Miley's house.
What are you doing here? She chose me! Miley!
She's dressed as Indiana Jones, and I'm uncomfortable. So she plays a video with her playing both of these parts, Lily and Oliver, and showing their argument and why it was like so petty.
Yeah, her hair smelled like apples. I like apple.
And it's really disturbing to see Miley in these parts. Like, one, as a blonde that's not Hannah, and two, as Oliver. I don't need to say more than that. This allows them to realize how stupid they've been acting and how important their friendship and relationship is, so they get back together. Unlike Carly's that ended up in a big blowout and her leaving the restaurant with no resolve.
I'm sorry.
Me too.
I missed you, Lollipop.
I missed you too, Lily Pop.
There's tension in both of the friend groups, with Lily and Oliver commonly disagreeing, getting into arguments, that brother-sister dynamic. And I definitely see that in iCarly with Freddie and Sam. The only difference, Freddie and Sam would never make a good match, because as friends they are so unhealthy. Unlike Hannah Montana, where at least they usually come to a resolution and it's not just one bullying the other. It's similar in the sense that she does shame them, like Carly's basically like, well then you shouldn't be dating at all, and then they realize they should be dating, which is kind of a lackluster ending for that one. Miley actually takes like a positive approach for it, which I think is a little bit more fair. But yeah, it's hard to deny that these episodes aren't super similar. The Hannah Montana episode was released in April 19th, 2009, with iCarly being 2 years later, September 10th, 2011. Therefore, we know who logically went first. We know who factually came first. But yeah, overall, I don't know why iCarly and Hannah Montana overlap so much. Maybe it's just the idea of popularity and fame coming into your social personal life as a teenager. And I guess already doing a teenager show, you're bound to overlap plots just in dating, miscommunications, fights with parents. So I guess it is inevitable that they cross over a lot. If anything, maybe they should have crossed over more, or made an official crossover. No. That would be breaking some cardinal sin that says networks can't cross over. But otherwise, like, what did you guys think? Does it feel like these are essentially borrowing the same plot, or are they different enough to make it fair? I personally think that they are different enough, and I just like comparing and contrasting them because it's like so uncanny that these two shows just happen to be doing the same exact plot. Isn't it so weird to think about the premises both being the main character as the third wheel to their best friend's relationship? And I love seeing how both characters deal with it completely differently. In iDate a Bad Boy, Carly was very shallow in getting over Griffin because of his Beanie Baby collection, while Miley developed a real crush and was just choosing between them. Here, they're given both the same scenario where their best friends are dating, and they both deal with it completely different. Miley comes from a more genuine place because it seems like she's focused on getting them to a healthier place, while Carly is just focused on trying to get them to not fight. Overall, while the iCarly episode is really funny, it doesn't have a resolution. Freddie and Sam seem to argue about everything, which is kind of the issue in their relationship. That makes it really hard to form a bond. While Lily and Oliver only really disagree on one thing, and that's what comes between them. You have a lot more hope for Lily and Oliver because once they get over this slump, it's going to be a while before they get another obstacle, while Freddie and Sam deal with obstacles all the time. And is that fun to deal with? Not really. Suddenly, Carly is not fixing their relationship for the sake of caring about her friends. She's fixing it for the inconveniences of the people around them. Also, Lily and Oliver date successfully throughout the rest of the series, having a lot of more important moments between each other. They overcome a lot of their disagreements and become stronger as a couple, while Sam and Freddie, spoiler alert, don't really last that long and continue to argue the rest of the time. But yeah, overall, they're both really funny episodes, but this is when iCarly starts to take a downturn in the quality of its show, while Hannah Montana is just getting better from here on out. So I think objectively, the Hannah Montana one does it a lot better. A Tale of Two Houses, Season 3, Episode 15, is actually one of the ones I remember the most of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Probably because I didn't get Disney Channel until like 2008, 2009, and I believe the show was on its final season, so they were probably just playing these episodes over and over and over again. And this one's really interesting because it dives into Carrie and Kurt's relationship, the boys' parents, and it's kind of about Zack and Cody, but more so about their struggle to kind of keep this divorce civil, and you'll understand what I mean mean by that when we get to the end of it. But basically, Zack is not allowed to be alone with his new girlfriend. Like, Carrie is like, nope, it's not appropriate. I'm not sure if your guys' mom did that, but my mom definitely did that. They have this nerdy kid friend that keeps following them everywhere and insists he's their dad's son too, which I find really funny. This guy's like in like 2 or 3 episodes at this point, but he's already one of my favorite characters. I just miss Bob. Like, where's Bob been? And in the B plot, Esteban actually finds out that his family struck oil, so he's rich. So London actually takes him under her wing and shows him how to be a bad person, pretty much. And he's just like buying things off of other people. He even ends up taking London's suite from under her, gives Mr. Mosby a bigger offer, and the dad can't refuse it. So London is just out of a hotel room. Oh my gosh. But it's really funny the way, like, London gives out the advice and he listens. Like, clearly it's like comedy gold here. I don't know why London's episodes have just been really good lately since Maddie's been gone. Kind of feel bad to say that. The boys learn that Kurt's new apartment is going to be actually right near the mom's house, so he's gonna have his own place, and the boys can spend their time there, which is actually getting to that divorced parents plot lines that I've always wanted. I love those. They're really good. Because, like, no other Disney Channel show does it, you know? And once Zack and Cody find out that their dad's apartment is empty most weekend nights, they decide to steal the key from his apartment and have their dates there. But crazy situation, they don't know each other's doing it. So Zack goes there to entertain his girlfriend. Next thing you know, Cody told his girlfriend the same thing, that they're going to spend a night at their condo, and they catch each other in the same lie. And then they keep trying to get away with it. They end up like on a double date, which is so crazy, the fact that they like try to make this work. And the next thing you know, their other friend shows up with his girlfriend, and you're just like, I didn't even know this guy could get a girlfriend, let alone a model like that. Like, what? And of course, Kurt finds out, and the boys get in trouble. But then you think it's gonna go downhill worse, because Carrie shows up, and it looks like Kurt did all of this, like their dad. So they actually, like, take the mature route, and they're like, okay, actually, no, this is our fault. Like, don't get mad at our dad. And it's very sweet. I like that they take that moment to actually, like, take accountability for what they do. When Zack kisses Barbara, it's kind of insane, and asks her to come back later. Like, what? Zack, you can't do that. All around, like, a very memorable episode for me. It definitely took me back to growing up and watching this show so much.
So the next episode is the 66th day, and this is one of the big turning points for Unfabulous. I can't believe how good this show is at continuity. So the 66th day is the 66th day that Addie has known Jake Bahari. It starts off with this really funny Brady Bunch parody. We get a glimpse in not only Addie's life, but a bunch of people at the school, like Maris and Cranberry. We see Randy Klein for a moment, which this guy's always talked about.
You just said Randy Klein.
Always mentioned.
Randy Klein had a water skiing accident.
Never seen.
Randy Klein, is that you?
And then Mario, who is Zack's basketball friend, also is in this. The whole premise of this episode is to see that Addie made a decision that somehow affects everybody in her community for the worst. It starts on such an ordinary day, day 65. You know what's crazy? There's more than one reference to specifically P. Diddy in this show, which does not age super well. It's just funny to think that the writers were so involved in pop culture that they specifically referenced that guy. The principal uses it as a way of describing Gina because she does not like what she wears, so she's essentially like, you're dressing up like P. Diddy's backup dancers, which is really inappropriate. I do not want to hear a critique like that on my clothes from my principal. Sorry. So the B plot is that Zack is making a movie, and apparently he's made movies in the past, like with Addie's dog Nancy. Oh, and it's really funny because we see Nancy dressed as Godzilla, which is crazy. Addie finishes another song about Jake Bahari, her big crush that we just cannot forget about because it's all that goes on in her life. She makes songs about him, that we know.
Jake, 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 J-A-K-E, Bahari.
But this time is when it actually gets complicated. We learn that Addie puts all of her love songs on one CD, and it's specifically 66 songs about Jake Bahari. She wrote a song every day since she liked him. And it's really, I want to say quirky and funny, but it's actually kind of scary and stalkery now that I'm looking back on it. I mean, I guess we didn't have social media, so instead of being stalkery. It's more like imagining what you could do to spend time with somebody. But I don't know, it's still hard to defend. So Addie accidentally lost her CD when she gave it to Zack, and apparently Zack gave it to somebody else. So Addie is on this mission to retrieve this tape she's got. She has like this fear that Maris and Cranberry probably found it and then went to the principal to play it over the loudspeaker, which is a fair assumption. It takes Addie all the way to the basketball game where she actually interrupts practice, which why are they practicing in the middle of a school day? Like, is that really fair? This can't be gym class. I like seeing Mario. He's one of my favorite side characters, probably because he was in Sonny with a Chance. In the meantime, Gina is actually making up for having ditched detention, and she ends up going to the principal's office and actually stealing her permanent records. It starts to make her insecure and realize that people are watching her a little too closely, which I would too. Then there's this whole bit where there's peer counseling at this school. One of the girls that runs it, it kind of reminds me of like a peer leader type extracurricular.
Mary Fairy, peer counselor. Let's talk.
I'm not sure if you guys had that, but it's like basically people that volunteer to show you around school, give you help and advice. And in this scenario, they make it a lot like a Catholic confessional, which is funny. Like, you have Randy Klein at the other end of this confessional, and it looks nuts. Then we start to see Addie actually get in people's way and hurt them, so we actually understand why in the cold open they're all angry at her. A girl comes up to Gina, and she's like, "Oh, it's Carlita," and then she's like, "It's Dawn, actually." And I'm like, how did you get the name that wrong? Addie chases down her CD all the way to the janitor. So Gina is having this identity crisis where she is told she's insecure. Meanwhile, she's also hosting this raffle. While Gina is trying to figure out her identity, she gets this boost from Eli.
I didn't want to say anything because I kind of like watching you suffer. But if I have to see you in another dog sweater, I may go blind.
Which you expect to just be this suck up to the principal. He follows her around everywhere he goes, which is such a funny trope that I don't feel like I've seen in any kid show. Like, this kid that is actually kind of borderline cool, but he's all around the principal all the time.
Tweet, tweet.
The plots collide when they're doing the raffle, and it turns out the prize that Gina's giving away is the 66 songs that Addie found on tape. And who is the winner? Yeah, literally Jake Bahari. So this guy that she's fawning over this entire show, he's the one who gets this tape. Jake, I would go to the police if I got 66 songs based off specifically my name, especially the way Addie does it. It's kind of scary. She has this fantasy where he actually loves it and he wants to be with her because of it, which I feel like it's kind of romantic. I do feel like that's a good turn of events for the stalker situation. And it's very sweet because it's like, oh, we're so happy that Addie actually is getting exactly what she wants, what we've established since the beginning of the show. But it really turns out to be an introduction to Jake Bahari's girlfriend. Yeah, so Jake Bahari has a girlfriend. We only find out now for the first time. I don't know how Addie didn't know. And I feel like that's not really fair for her. She made so many songs before she found out. Like, in those 66 days, she couldn't have figured out that he had a girlfriend. Come on. But yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking, and the song she sings for it is really depressing. The entire episode ends on such a somber, depressing note. It's a really good song, though. She sings "You Will Never Love Me," and I gotta be honest, guys, I'm gonna hear this during my nightmares.
Jake Bahari.
I'm so excited to jump back into life with Derek, especially considering that the worst season is over. It's not a Zoey 101 situation where I have to resent the entire show and feel bad about myself. This show actually contains a lot of really heartfelt moments, and I feel like despite all that like romantic stuff people like to talk about, it's just a good show. You know, like, we don't have to go there if we really don't want to. My perspective can be completely clean, so let's not make a big deal out of this. Okay, episode 1, Date with Derek. Okay, yeah, I guess we're starting right off the bat, huh?
So I'm dating Derek's best friend, Sam, and things are going, well, really well.
Okay, so despite this being an episodic show, there's some serial storylines from the first season that are worth calling back, like the fact that Casey is dating Derek's best friend, Sam. This becomes a gender issue for Derek because obviously he doesn't want to see his best friend devoting all of his time to his girlfriend, aka Casey, which, by the way, this is already red flag number 1 of them being together. Don't look like you're jealous, Derek, you're her brother. But this this isn't a normal relationship. It turns out they are actually pretty horrible for each other. Like, they watch a movie together, they argue, and apparently they break up all the time to a point where the siblings all know about this. And it's funny because I feel like that is totally middle school life. Like, people definitely, like, got in and out of relationships quickly, and there was a lot of drama going on. This actually starts to affect Sam's work on his hockey team, the one that Derek's a part of. So Derek actually takes a conflict of interest. Okay, good. It's not about Casey. So Casey's best friend Emma,
I'm Emily,
gets asked out by Derek because she has a crush on him for quite some time. Derek goes out of his way to ask her out, and Casey's pretty suspicious, which, by the way, Casey, it looks like you're jealous too. Weird. And yeah, she's like, do not go out with him. He's just gonna use you to try to get to her. And it's kind of true. Derek actually actively committed to wanting to go out with Emma to kind of keep Sam and Casey together. And Casey seems like a crazy person in front of the counselor being like, no, I know Derek's up to something. It's very Candace from Phineas and Ferb, I feel like. And this poor therapist has to listen to these problems. Like, oh my gosh, I could not imagine being him. The B plot is pretty mundane for a season opener. Basically, Lizzie doesn't know how to dance, super insecure about it, and yeah, she doesn't want to go to the school dance. Edwin kind of pries her until he learns all this, and then he relays the information to the mom, Nora. Nora's like, I need to teach her how to dance, as if it's like a big deal. So then, yeah, Lizzie has to learn how to dance, but she's embarrassed and, of course, upset with Edwin for telling, and she decides she's just not going to go to the dance. So Derek was right about the Casey thing. She's very bothered by it to a point where she's like, let's cancel our date, Sam, and go spy on my brother. No! Oh my god, Sam literally walks out of the door, and I would too, Casey. This is like too far. It's weird, right? Like, I don't know. I don't want to hang out and watch your stepbrother on a date with your friend? I don't know, that's weird. Something sweet happens though. Derek's on the date with Emma, and like, he could tell she really likes him, and it seems like he's being less of a hard-shelled man and starting to be like, hey, I think I accidentally led you on. And he's pretty open about the fact that he just wanted to get Casey mad. Like, if I were him, I would have just been like, yeah, I don't know if you needed to get into that much detail. Of course, she's disappointed, but then she's like, oh yeah, I'm into it.
Did Derek just say my name?
And they find out that Casey was there with a blonde wig spying on them, just as crazy as we all assumed. So yeah, start of the season, pretty interesting. It is hard to avoid the flirtatious stuff. Having Derek and Casey both trying to get on each other's nerves by dating other people is really hard to separate from a non-platonic relationship. Her and Sam make up, which I find really ridiculous. I would not have forgiven her for saying that if I were you, Sam. Like, after all this episode, they are just in such a toxic place. I thought they dated like way longer than this too. It's been like one episode and it's already the most toxic thing I've seen. Now, since it's the Valentine's Day holiday, I did think it was necessary to tell you guys about my Valentine's Day musical about heartbreak, kind of about mocking teens and what it's like to be addicted to love.
Now I know, maybe that's not the way that...
And then as I delve deeper into that, I just started doing more research on what I would want the songs to sound like, because I'm not usually a composer, so it was very interesting to be like, I want a chorus of this song, I want a melody in this song, I want to find a way to capture everything I grew up with understanding love to be and putting it into this musical. We're on week 3. We have about like 4 rehearsals done. And we also have to record the studio album for this, so it's going to be a little bit challenging to make sure everything's perfect in the next 2 weeks. These are all people like we've never really met before, but they're so talented and they're really pulling through.
If there had been a Heartbreak Hospital when I was 13, I think I would still be there.
But hey, thanks for listening. Best couple. So there has been a lot of drama and romance in these teen shows. It's hard to argue that these aren't like just the cringiest, like teenage hormonal episodes you could imagine. Addie and Jake from Unfabulous. Yeah, so this relationship was pretty touch and go. I covered the first season, and I'm working on the second season's retrospective right now, but Addie's relationship with Jake Bahari is by far one of the most bizarre things I've seen on kids' TV. Like, she makes a song She makes a CD of 66 songs for him. She follows him. She daydreams about him. I feel like it's crossing a line at a certain point. So that kind of devotion is why I think Addie and Jake deserve to be one of the contenders on this one. Then we have Freddie. Yeah, Carly and Freddie from iCarly. And we're going to talk about the reboot because obviously Sam isn't relevant and we didn't cover a lot of retrospectives on iCarly quite yet, outside of the reboot, of course. So I would say Carly and Freddie, this on and off again since I Saved Your Life in the original series up until this brand new show, reinventing all the relationships, and then once again revisiting Carly and Freddie. It's trying to be the ultimate love story, making it a little bit further from what the original iCarly was even meant to be. It's supposed to be about this influencer changing the world, or kids trying to turn around the influence in the digital age. Best parts of the reboot are not that aren't really having to do with Carly and Freddie as much. I feel like the best ones I've enjoyed are the ones that touch on the culture and what we're going through now. But of course, everybody's commenting SETI or Creddy, so it's really hard to ignore the topic of if Freddie and Carly should be together. I personally don't care. You know, like, that's not why I watch that specific show. I like it, but it's not what I am looking for. And of course, we have Miley and Jake. Yeah, there's like about 10 episodes, I think, in the entire Hannah Montana series, and I broke it down in a half-hour video about Miley and Jake. And this couple is just insane. They're on again, off again, famous, not famous. Miley even reveals her secret for the first time with Jake Ryan. And this guy is egotistical. He's like a superstar. He doesn't necessarily think about other people, nor does he have the social awareness to deal with it. So him and Miley are coming from like completely different worlds. When they argue, it's about like kind of the most ridiculous things. It doesn't even seem like they're ever compatible, so why keep going? But I digress. This is one of the most influential love stories of Hannah Montana, with iDate a Bad Boy being one of the most influential specials. Of course, we all remember Miley sitting out on the deck, choosing between Jake and Griffin, which is the same guy from the iCarly episode. I don't know, watch the video, we talk about it a lot. But this is a weird couple that just, I think, is completely toxic. I was thinking about doing Oliver and Lily over Jake and Miley, but this one's a little more interesting, and I feel like we remember Jake and Miley more. Of course, Jake inevitably cheated, and they never ended up together. Kind of depressing way to go, but it had to go that way. Okay. In a way, I feel like Hannah Montana's weakest point is their romantic relationships. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think Zoey 101 took it too far. I think Addie Singer took it too far. Like, there's just, it's weird when you're in love in your teenage years because you do not know what to do with it. And then, of course, we have the infamous Derek and Casey. Yeah, if you guys have seen Life with Derek or my new videos on Life with Derek, I covered the first and second season, and I'm working on the third right now. This is a family show. It's essentially the Brady Bunch with 3 siblings from the dad's side, 2 siblings from the mom's side, guys and girls essentially. Sex comes up a lot because of their genders, because of like how they interact in this new house. And it's just weird because Casey and Derek have so much chemistry. They dated in real life, and I think they end up together at the end of the show. Inappropriate. This show just feels like the Brady Bunch, like, incest-wise. And I think it's hilarious. I think it's like really funny to watch the show with that in mind, because the flirtation, the way Casey looks at Derek, like, there's something about it. When you type in Life with Derek on YouTube, you'll just get like Daisy compilation videos with clips of them talking, and they say the wackiest stuff to each other. Like, I tried to write down every time they like flirted with each other. I could not narrow it down. It was ridiculous. Now, if we're looking at Casey and Derek, Addie and Jake, Miley and Jake, and Creddy, I'm gonna have to give it to Daisy. Life with Derek, yeah. See, this is crazy because obviously, like, this blew up my video because of this controversy. People were commenting all over my first video about this romantic undertone that we weren't really quite sure of. And it was kind of annoying at first until I watched the second season and was like, okay, I actually have to talk about this. I didn't want to, like, just make it all about romance, because it's barely about that. Like, it's mostly about this family trying to bond and get along, but it's almost impossible to not talk about their chemistry, and the show drives it. Like, you could tell that it gets to be its best in the 3rd season because they start doubling down on like how they attack each other. It is completely about Casey and Derek. Yeah, Creddy cannot compete with that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and maybe even check out my other videos. This is Johnny 2000, and happy Valentine's Day.